All right, something has just happened that could change the Middle East forever. We're talking about a conflict that's been simmering for decades, and it's just boiled over, risking a whole new kind of war. So we're going to unpack exactly what went down, and more importantly, why.
This thing didn't start with some formal declaration of war. Nope, it was just sudden. But the facts on the ground, they're undeniable. We're seeing coordinated airstrikes and then boom, immediate retaliation. The whole region has been thrown into chaos, basically overnight.
So who's behind this? Well, you've got two main players. On one side, Israel, with what they're calling Operation Roaring Lion, and on the other, the United States, with Operation Epic Fury. And listen, these aren't just cool-sounding code names. They're a dead giveaway that this was a joint, carefully planned military operation from the get-go.
Okay, so let's get into how this whole thing kicked off. We're talking about a massive, coordinated assault that went straight for the heart of the Iranian state.
And that first wave of attacks, wow, it was broad and absolutely devastating. I mean, just look at the list of targets. You've got US and Israeli jets hitting these high-value government buildings and key military sites all across Iran. But, and this is a huge but, amid all those strategic strikes, Iranian media started reporting something truly horrific. A girls' school in Minab was hit, and they're saying there were dozens of casualties. Just a terrible, terrible situation.
And you better believe Iran's response wasn't delayed. They didn't wait around. It was immediate, it was widespread, and it was clearly designed to send a message. You hit us, and the whole region is going to feel it.
So, what did that response actually look like? Well, it came from a few different directions. First, you've got missiles raining down on American bases in at least 6 different countries in the area. Then, they went for a huge economic blow. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And if you don't know, that's a critical choke point for the world's oil supply. On top of all that, some attacks hit civilian areas, like an airport in Kuwait and a hotel in Dubai. All of this, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question, right? Why and why now? What on earth was the official reason given for launching an attack on this scale? Well, from the American side, the whole argument was about preemption. The story from President Trump was that this was all about stopping Iran before it could threaten America. The stated goal? To completely wipe out their missile industry. Now, Israel's take, coming from former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, was a little different. It had 2 parts, really. He said, yeah, it was about dealing with the bully before Iran could get a nuclear weapon. But he also framed it in another way, as an action to actually help the Iranian people. So let's break that down. When you put them side by side, you can really see the subtle differences. The US was laser-focused on a direct military threat to America. Israel, on the other hand, was talking about both its own security, stopping a nuke, and also creating this opportunity for the Iranian people to change things from the inside. Okay, so those are the official justifications. But as soon as those statements came out, the big conversation shifted to one thing: legality. Was this attack actually justified under international law? And really, the whole legal argument boils down to this one critical question. See, under international law, you often need an imminent threat to justify a preemptive strike like this. It means danger's right around the corner. So the big question is, was there one? Well, if you ask Ken Pollack, and this is a guy who's a former CIA analyst, he's been on the National Security Council, the answer is a pretty clear no. He says flat out that Iran did not pose an imminent threat, especially not to the United States homeland. And that really pulls the rug out from under one of the main justifications for the whole thing. And this whole question about legal justification gets even murkier when you compare this to other major military actions. Just think back to the 2003 Iraq War. Love it or hate it, there was a year-long public campaign to make the case. They went to the UN for resolutions, and there was a vote in the US Congress. This time, it's a totally different story. It looks rushed, like it happened on the spur of the moment, with none of that diplomatic or domestic foundation. So the fact that there wasn't this long traditional buildup, it points to something else, something really important: the end game. The goal here apparently wasn't just to knock out some military targets. The stated objective was much, much bigger: to spark a full-on regime change. And get this, President Trump came out and made a direct appeal to the Iranian people. He laid out this incredibly simple 3-step plan. Step 1, stay inside, don't leave your house. Step 2, wait for the bombing to end. And step 3, go take over your government. It's It's a bold plan, to say the least. But, as you can probably guess, experts immediately started pointing out some pretty massive holes in this strategy. I mean, first off, history tells us that trying to topple a government just with airstrikes almost never works. Second, Iran's internal security force is huge. We're talking hundreds of thousands of armed guards. Third, the opposition inside Iran, they're unarmed, they're not organized, and they don't really have a clear leader. So it's an absolutely huge gamble, especially since the US doesn't seem to have a clear idea of who would even take over. And the fallout from that huge gamble? Well, it's already happening. We're feeling the consequences not just inside Iran, but across the entire region. The whole place is on a knife's edge right now. Just look at what happened in the first 24 hours. It was an incredibly fast and frankly terrifying escalation. It kicks off with the US and Israeli strikes. Iran fires back within hours, launching missiles into 6 different countries. Then you get the economic warfare. They shut down that critical waterway. And all the while, the rest of the world is scrambling. Allies are divided on what to do. The whole situation just spiraled out of control in less than a day. And if you're wondering why this matters to you, no matter where you live, here it is. When Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, they basically turned off the tap for about 20% of the entire world's oil supply. Just like that. Overnight. The economic shockwaves from that one move, we're all going to feel them. This whole rapid-fire escalation has analysts using a term that nobody wants to hear: forever war. And what that means is the fear that this isn't just a short, contained conflict. It's the beginning of something with no clear objectives, no obvious exit strategy, a war that could just drag on and on, destabilizing the whole region for years, maybe even decades. So that's where we are, standing on the edge of a cliff. And the question we're all left with is, what was this really? Was it a smart, calculated strike designed to bring about a quick regime change and maybe a freer Iran? Or was it the first shot in a new forever war with consequences that literally no one can predict?